is Mary of the Anchorage, Alaska Memories Club.
And this is Mike. In this edition, we're looking at Anchorage Mountain View memories. Have you ever heard of Norman Lang? Well, you will in a moment. In the 1940s, Anchorage, Alaska was growing, and some homesteaders headed out of town to stake their claim to some land. Norman Lang was just such a homesteader. Lang headed about 3 miles northeast from Anchorage to a spot that had a perfect view of the Chugach Mountains. Lang ended up subdividing his land and naming it appropriately Mountain View.
Other early homesteaders in Mountain View now have a neighborhood street named after them. Those included a Norwegian immigrant named Nels Clevin. For some reason, his street name was misspelled, Klevin, instead of the correct spelling of Kleven. Robert McGraw was a territorial legislator and photographer, and Harry Bliss was a contractor. Both have Mountain View streets named after them, but more about McGraw Street shortly.
In the 1940s, construction workers and others were coming to Anchorage to build Elmendorf Air Force Base. But there was a big problem. Anchorage didn't have enough housing to accommodate them. As a partial solution, small, temporary housing structures were put up in Mountain View.
And speaking of McGraw Street, you probably didn't know that from 1942 until 1951, a man named John Vanover ran a 20-acre pig farm in the area.
In 1949, Charles H. Brewster and his wife Betty opened the Mountain View Washeroo Laundry. But the Brewsters were ready for more, so they started selling clothing in their spare time from their log cabin home located in the Muldoon area of Anchorage. Then, in 1959, the two opened the first Brewster's clothing store in a small log cabin at North Bregaw and Mountain View Drive. They later expanded and became an Anchorage fixture.
And did you know that Mike of the Anchorage, Alaska Memories Club attended Mountain View Elementary School? And one summer, he was a pitcher for the Indians Little League team that practiced on the Mountain View Elementary School baseball field.
In 1957, the first drive-in, A&W Root Beer, opened in Anchorage. It was located in Mountain View. And by the way, the location was also home to Timbo and Princess, the A&W Lions. First opened in 1959, Clark Junior High School was the first junior high school in Anchorage, located on Bregaw Street. The school was named after Ora D. Clark. Clark was the very first school teacher and principal hired in 1915 in the new town of Anchorage, Alaska. After Clark Junior High opened, Clark herself often visited the school, and students were able to speak to her between classes and after school.
In the 1960s, Mike of the Anchorage, Alaska Memories Club attended weekly square dancing get-togethers in the Mountain View Community Center. Mr. and Mrs. Topolsky ran the dances. During each weekly dance, they took a short break from square dancing and played some rock and roll for the kids to dance to. Mike even got his first announcing gig one week when he was asked to play the rock and roll records and introduce each song.
That's right, Mary. I remember playing Harbor Lights by the Platters. After I introduced the song and started the record, I looked down from the stage, and there were 3 or 4 girls looking up at me, and they were all wide-eyed and smiling. Wow, my first fan club! Then one week, a well-known KENI radio DJ named Bob Fleming was a special guest at the dance. We had a great time at that community center.
Mike, you remember our friends who became known as the Heartbeats, a very popular Anchorage teen band. All but one of the Heartbeats band members were the Apostle Brothers. and their family lived in Mountain View. In 1966, the Pulsating Heartbeats released the hit record Anne. On the flip side of the record was Talkin' 'Bout You.
Do you remember Park Lane's bowling? Beginning in 1976, Mountain View enjoyed bowling at this Anchorage favorite. And for a while, KTVA Channel 11 broadcast the weekly TV show Bowling for Dollars, hosted by Chuck Talski, and it was shot on location at Park Lanes. As a side note, I was also one of the camera operators on the show and also edited the program for broadcast. Well, this has been a great look at some Anchorage memories. We have 1940s homesteader Norman Lang to thank for all of our Mountain View memories. Until next time, Mike and Mary, the Anchorage, Alaska Memories Club.